Welcome back to school, guys. I'm Mr. Wardrup. This is Introduction to Industrial Trades. As you know, we're not in the classroom, and this is a little weird as far as school goes, the way we're going to have to do my class. But we'll just fight through it, do what we can do, and to begin with, I'm going to start with a basic section on measurement. For you guys that know how to measure, then it'll just be a rudimentary refresher for you. For you guys that don't, then hopefully you will by the time we're done. So as far as materials goes for this part of the class, you're going to need some nice clean white paper, a ruler, a couple of number 2 or 3 pencils, and a pen. So we'll go ahead and get started. So if Mr. Cameraman, you can roll around here and kind of shoot from behind me. Now what I want you to do first, and sorry guys for having to be here at my kitchen table, but it's too hot in the shop right now in the garage, so I'm just not going to go down there and use my workbench. So what I want you to do first is place the ruler on the bottom line or bottom edge of the paper. And then I want you to take your pen, find the number 1 on the ruler, and draw a line from 1 all the way over to 10. Just like that. Nice dark line. Then flip your paper over and do the same thing again. Remember, on your ruler, a lot of rulers, if you'll look closely here, a lot of rulers will have a 0 point to start. Some rulers will just start right there. They'll be cut off exactly looking like that. And there won't be a 0 line, so you'll start at the end of the ruler. So make sure you know what your ruler does, because where you start makes all the difference in the world in terms of your actual sizes. So again, I'll go from number 1 and I'll draw my line over to 10. Make a nice line. And so I've got 2 parallel lines on my paper. Then all I have to do is go to the end of the parallel lines, let's say here on the right side, and go to the end and go down just like that. So giving me a 3rd side. Go ahead and flip it over and do the same thing. I'm trying to do this assignment without any measurement at all, because I'm kind of assuming you don't know how to measure. So I'm not going to say, oh, draw a line this long or anything like that until you actually know exactly what I'm talking about. So from this point, we'll take our ruler and we're going to need our pencil. And whenever we use the pencil on this particular exercise, we want to make as light or faint lines as possible. So we're going to connect the ruler to diagonally to the top left point and the bottom right point. And then, look approximately at where the middle is and just make a small faint pencil line, okay? Then we're gonna do the same thing from the bottom left to the top right. We'll make a faint pencil line. And if you notice, I don't know if it'll show up, but we've got a very faint X right here. And whenever you connect corners in a square or a rectangle and make a little X, you've found the middle, okay? So all we're gonna do is place our ruler on that X, and we're going to try to make it as perpendicular to the top and bottom line as possible. So all you need to do is make sure your ruler edge is, for the most part, parallel with the edge on your right and left sides, okay? Doesn't have to be, now all NASA perfect, but should be pretty good. Then we'll start at the X and just make a line going up to the top, so we end up with one line just like that, right in the middle. The length of it is actually the middle of our rectangle. Then that faint line, the reason we made it a faint line is because I want to erase all of those X's and hash marks that we're going to make on this thing before we're done with the exercise. So there we have our first line. And this will become more clear to you what it is as we continue, but I don't want to kind of try to explain it to you up front without you seeing what it looks like. So we're going to go ahead and make it first. So what we're going to do from here is put our ruler at the bottom of that first line that we drew. And again, we're just going to make sure or eyeball our edge of our ruler with the bottom line just so they're parallel. Then we're going to go to the left side and make just a small faint mark on the left and the right side, just like that. Okay. Then all we have to do is connect our top left side with the bottom of the line that we drew, and we're going to do the same thing. We've connected them diagonally. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to make a small faint pencil mark. We're going to go to that little hash mark that we made that lined up with the middle line. We're going to make another small faint hash mark. Then we're going to roll over here on the right side and do the same thing. Okay. Now, all we have to do after that is get our pen, and we're going to place our ruler on our X. We're going to make sure that our ruler is parallel with the lines that we've already drawn, and we're just going to draw a line from that X to the top line of our rectangle. We're going to do that on both sides. Okay. So at this point, we should have 3 lines just like this. We're going to go ahead and erase our little X's that we did with the pencil. Now, from here, we're going to place our ruler on the bottom of the lines that we just made. And that should be pretty simple since they're both the same length. And we'll put our ruler across horizontally. We'll make a little hash mark on the left side, a little cross mark on the center, and another little hash mark on the right side. Okay? Now, from here, we're just basically doing the same thing over again. We're connecting with that hash mark on the right side and the top left part of the line that we just made, and we're doing another little X, just like that. Okay, so we have 1. We're going to go ahead and make 4 of them. We're going to make 1 in each of the spaces that we have so far. Faint pencil mark, we'll go to the hash mark that we made on that center line. Do another X, we'll go from the hash mark we made on the center line to the top of the first line. And we'll make another little X, and then we'll continue through to the last space. Do the same thing, little faint pencil mark, go to the hash mark to the top of that first line. And there we've got 4 X's that we've done in those sections. You get that all right? Then, all we have to do, same thing over again, just keep your ruler parallel with the line in front of it so you can see it, and then draw another line from that X right up to the top line of your rectangle. Simple, simple. And now we've got 4 additional lines drawn. So we'll go ahead and get rid of those little X's and that little hash mark in the middle that we did. Clean up our drawing and take our ruler, and from those lines that we just drew, those 4 lines, we're going to place our ruler on the bottom of those 4 lines. We'll make a small faint hash mark on the left side, on the right side, and again in the middle. Okay? Oh, I missed one. Let's also do the 2 longer interior lines here and here. You can see they're a little slightly longer line. We want a hash mark on those also, because that's what's going to help us to line up for our diagonal lines in order to find the middle of those sections. So, little faint mark, another little faint mark, and we end up with an X in the middle of that section. We'll go ahead and slide over and do the next section the same way, a little faint mark, and flip it, do the same thing. We end up with a little X in the middle of that section. Same thing over again here. I know this is a little repetitious, but it gives us a little bit of uniformity as far as the drawing goes. It looks like everything's kind of lined up and symmetrical. So that's why we're making the little X's and connecting our edges and stuff like that to find the center of things. We want it to look as straight as possible when we're done. So again, another little faint mark. Remember, it's important to kind of make your pencil marks as light as possible, especially when we start in the class and we start marking wood projects and stuff like that. Because if you make your line as faint or as light as possible, it's easier to get rid of later. In this case, it's going to be easier to erase. Later on, when we start doing wood projects, it'll be easier to sand off. Okay, so we have all of our little X's straight across. All we have to do now is take our ruler again, line it up with the middle of that X, and go up to the top line of our rectangle. We'll do the same thing on the second one. Same thing on the third. And I'm going over my lines twice just because I'm trying to get them as dark as possible with the pen. I thought about doing this with a Sharpie, but Sharpies bleed and it doesn't make a real crisp line. So hopefully this is going to show up good for you guys. So we ended up with this kind of configuration. We're going to go ahead now and erase all of our hash marks on the side. We're going to erase all of our interior hash marks and X's so that when we're done, all we have are the lines that we drew with our pen. Okay. Now this, if you look at your ruler, if you can get a little closer in here, Mr. Cameraman, to the ruler. If you look at the ruler, between any number that you want to pick on this ruler, for my ruler, it's basically through 1 through 12. I'm going to ignore the first part because mine's split into a lot of little sections. But most of the time the ruler is split into 16 parts. And every part is the same no matter where you look on it. No matter what inch on the ruler, wherever you look, you're going to have the same amount of lines, the same shapes. And if you notice, the ruler corresponds to what we've done here on the paper. So essentially all we've done is make what we're going to call as a title on this project, the paper inch. And remember, the abbreviation for the word inch is 2 little marks, just like that, or 2 quote marks. Okay? And on all of our assignments, we're going to write our name up on the top right corner. When I say top right corner, I mean as you're looking at the project, then decide what the top right corner is. Put your name up there. We're going to call this period 1. And then do me a favor and give me the date. Today I think is the 16th. Okay. So on this, every one of these little spaces that is on the inch, no matter where you look, every one of those little marks has a name. So I'll go ahead on this paper inch and write down the names of every one of those little sections. And actually they're sizes. So I'll do 1/16, 1/8, 3/16, 1/4 or 1/4, depending on how you like to say it. 3/8, 7/16, down to the middle one, which is 1/2, it's in the middle. 9/16, 5/8, 11/16, 3/4 or 3/4, whichever you prefer. 13/16, 7/8, and lastly 15/16. Now from here we're going to go down to the bottom corner and just write down a 0. And then on the far right side we're going to write 1 inch. 1 with our little abbreviation for inch after it. So we've made our paper inch. Now what we're going to do is line our ruler up with our lines that are on the top. And I'm going to line it up with that line, and then I'm going to place the number 9 on the ruler on the bottom of our paper inch. Then all I'm going to do is go up to that middle part between 8 and 9, and I'm just going to draw a little line going down from that. Again, sliding over, lining up with our top line, and going down just like that, keeping the 9 on the bottom line. And I'm doing that just so I can make the length of my lines uniform, or the same length, okay? This is a little tedious, but it is what it is. If I was doing it on the chalkboard, it would be a lot faster. Again, I'm placing the 9 on the bottom line, going up to that mark on the ruler that's in between the 8 and the 9, and just drawing a small line down, doing the same thing all the way through. And here's the last one. So you'll notice on the bottom, and your ruler doesn't have this, but we're doing it. So you've got lines that are, for the most part, about the same length. Then all you need to do on those lines is write these numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to go through 15, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay? Simple, simple. Now, essentially, we've made our paper inch. And for you guys that just memorize things, then all you have to do to know the names of any of these marks on the ruler and wherever they lie on that ruler, all you have to know is that the names of those marks are what's written right down here on our paper inch. Okay, you can either memorize that. If you have an issue with memorizing things, then all you have to do basically, if I say, well, go to number 2, and what's the name of the 4th mark past number 2? Well, you'll look on your paper inch, go to number 4, go up, and you say, oh, that's 1/4 or 1/4. So it's pretty simple. If I go to, let's say another one, I say the 5, and I tell you, well, go to the 8th mark after the 5 and tell me what size that is. Well, you'll look on here, find number 8, go up and say, oh, that's half. So it would be 5 1/2. Okay? So remember, whatever number you start on, if I ask you what's the 12th mark after 4, okay, you know you're going to start for the size with 4, because that's where you are on the ruler. So it would be 4 and the 12th mark, go to the 12, go up, 4 and 3/4. So that's a basic, simple way to look at measurement. If you have any questions, you'll be able to email me with those, and try to be specific so that I can get right back to you and help you. For right now, the format of the class is going to be pretty much YouTube videos, and you're being able to contact me via email, and I'll check on you too. Until I get my Chromebook, I won't be using the Zoom classroom stuff, but I should be getting that here shortly, and I'll be able to start that with you guys. You're going to find this exercise on YouTube, and all of our assignments for probably the next week or two, maybe even longer, are going to be the video part of it anyways, is going to be found on YouTube. I'll go ahead and send out links to you and dates for when the projects and stuff are due, and you'll be able to snap a picture of it, send it back to me, and then I can see it, and it'll make it easy for me to grade. And at this point, that's pretty much the first lesson. And again, guys, if you have any questions or you think of anything that you want to comment, then please let me know. But send me an email rather than comment on the YouTube site, because it's just simpler for me to get your email and respond, because I may not look at the site very often after I've made the video. So much better if you just contact me through email. This will be under Wardrup Measure number 1, and I'll send you out an email today, and we'll go from there. And thank you guys very much for hanging out with me. We'll see you. Bye.